And I'll get into why the pickup artist's false self is especially dangerous. And that many guys who are in that world, many as in the vast majority, I mean like over 90% of the guys I know who got into that world and got good at it, are still very much caught up in their false selves. And I know because I knew it from the other side, and I'm still in the process at 41 years old of becoming my true self and inhabiting that more often. And then being able to bring out other parts of me depending on the circumstances and when it's needed. So sometimes the Asian rake will make his appearance when I want to seduce my wife again, and make it a sexy night or whatever, or just for fun, because it's fun. But it's not a part that I wish was me. Back then I did, of course. Back then when you're a pre-pickup artist, you don't like the self that you are. There are parts of you don't like the nerdy part, the geeky part, the part that's insecure, the part that can't speak, the part that, whatever, doesn't look cool, whatever that part that's been shamed and that you're ashamed of, right? And that you want to change in order to be more attractive to women. And so you're willing to do all of this changing at the essential level of the self to get the women, to get the validation, to feel good about yourself. Because in fact, the self that you were before, you weren't too proud of. And what happens is that you replace one false self with another. And then you really hope to God, because you don't know that you're actually replacing false selves. You just think you're becoming a better version of yourself. Every time I hear that phrase, there's actually, literally speaking, there's nothing wrong with it. But every time it's being used, it's usually being used to manipulate you. Like become a better version of yourself. And one way, pickup artists love that phrase now, because you're becoming a better version of yourself by dressing differently, changing your body language, changing the way you talk and walk, and the words you use. And what's the most dangerous about that is if you want that new self to actually be you. And I'll get into the details of that. I'm not sure if I can get to it fully today. I'll begin it, and then we'll continue it in the next session. But what's dangerous is when the pickup artist or when the guy hopes that he really wishes and desires that the seductive self is his real self. And how does he know whether the seductive self has it reached the better version of him yet? How does he know? Well, if he's a seductive self, but all the girls he talks to turn him down, and he's not getting laid, and no girls like him, well, then that's evidence. It's a metric he's using to say, I have not yet succeeded in becoming my better seductive self yet. So what is the metric? Well, when this hot girl, it's got to be HB10 or something like that, returns his affection, and now that shows that he is indeed this seductive self that he's been hoping that he will become this entire time, this whole process. And when that's the case, then he's now thinks he can rest, because I got the girl. This is a common myth, right? Now I got the girl, I don't need to learn anything more, I don't need to better myself. And he hopes to God that he's become natural at the game, which means that he hopes all of the body language, tonality, eye contact, the lines, the witty comebacks, that's all internalized in his brain. He doesn't have to think about it, it's just there. And sometimes it is. It was for me. Didn't have to try anymore. But all that meant was I didn't have to try to be the false self that I was already, right? Because I was a false self. Right? And all of these guys are false selves. And they hope to God that false self is their true self. That seductive, charismatic, attractive guy, that girl, which is proof that he is in fact attractive, that is his real self. And his metric for determining this is whether that girl likes him or whether enough hot girls like him. And now he's made it. He's the hot guy or whatever, right? He's a sexually attractive, naturally attractive man. But he forgot that it was actually the result of him actually putting on a whole other facade, a new personality. Right? Because it's one thing to say, stand differently, talk this way, and you just do it, because that's not an essential part of who you are. But when it's an essential part of who you are and you change that's why guys find it so difficult. Because it's not very difficult.